Welcome back to Natural AF. I'm your host, Isaac.
And I'm Alexa.
And this is a mini follow-up episode to our last Breastisode, episode 19. And since we're coming up on Christmas, this episode will be released Christmas Day here in Australia, Christmas Eve in the States. And in the spirit of the holiday, we just want to wish you all, you and your families, a Merry Christmas, whether you celebrate it or not.
Yeah, well, it's funny. We got all dressed up just to do this intro, but we do take it as an opportunity to spend time with our loved ones, which is actually why Christmas is probably my favorite time of the year, because it's probably the only time where I can step back and take a break and just really be present with my family and friends and enjoy our time together without the distraction of work and phones and, you know, all the things that we are pretty bombarded with in our day-to-day. So, wishing you all a very Merry Christmas. And in this very short episode, I really just want to touch on some details that I forgot after releasing the episode and listening back to it. I realized that, it's really not fresh in my mind now that I'm almost 6 months post-op, and I did forget a few little details. So, just wanted to follow up, and we thought this would be a perfect opportunity because we understand lots of people are going to be with their family and friends at this time.
Yeah, and in true holiday spirit, we didn't want you to miss out on the demon face that I forgot to zoom in on in the capsule from the implant. So I've got that cut together in this little mini-sode.
Mm-hmm.
So, and this has been a wild year restarting this podcast here in Australia and relaunching and rebranding Natural Art Form. And I just want to thank everyone who's supported our business and supported this show. And if you're new here, Natural Art Form is a business that I started that is focused on making simple, powerful, and pure products to replace things that are already out there. My first product was a pain relief cream. It's way better than most everything that's out there. It's way cleaner and handmade, and that's available in the US and Australia. And then we're also putting out a couple of different scents of deodorant, which is available here in Australia. And it's a magnesium cream. It's an innovation that I made on healthy natural deodorants. And this one actually reverses body odor and works strong enough to, for Santa in his little boots as he's going from house to house. When he gets home to Mrs. Claus and kicks off his boots, if he's wearing refreshed deodorant, she won't kick him out in the snow.
Yeah. And did you mention the discount code?
Yeah. So if you're a listener to this show, we have a special discount code, NaturalAF10. And that's good for anything on our website. So go to naturalartform.com and check it out.
Yep, that'll get you 10% off your first order. And we're so grateful to the people that have ordered using that code. We're like, people are listening and they're wanting to buy our product. So we're so grateful. We love that word is getting out. We've got a lot of our listeners that are now sharing some of our episodes, which is awesome. And we really do appreciate that. It makes a huge difference when you share, like, and comment. We love the comments. We love when people comment and have their input or let us know that they love
keep them coming.
The episodes. Yeah. So we really appreciate that. And one more point I want to make before we get into the episode. We were just on our friend Anita Toi's podcast called the Inner Awakening Podcast. We had so much fun. We just listened back to it.
She's great.
And it was an awesome episode. So for anyone that wants to listen to that as well, we'll pop the link in the show notes. And definitely support her, give her show a listen because she's doing some really great stuff as well.
Absolutely. Cool. Well, let's get to the mini Breastisode.
Let's do it. All right. So
what did we miss last time?
Well, first things first, actually, after we recorded the episode, way after, we were getting ready to get it out, and we took a photo of me holding my breast implants. Now, when we took them out of the box, the overwhelming smell of chemicals that are coming off these things, it was shocking. So
it was too much to not share with you all.
So now I got these back after my surgery because my surgeon actually has an inkling that there might be some class action lawsuits in the future that may arise. Just basically due to not getting true informed consent. So I've got them, they're sealed, but even just in there, so they're in it's double bagged. Then it's in one of these, and then that's in a styrofoam box. Just opening the styrofoam box, the smell is pungent. So you can smell it even through here, and it honestly smells. It kind of almost reminds me of
chemically.
When you walk past a nail salon and you kind of smell the fumes of chemicals, but even more like it's more like almost like a metal shop though. It's horrible.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it reminds me of the silicone caulk gun, very similar chemically smell.
Yeah.
Shocking.
It was pretty horrifying to get them out and just smell that and think that they were once in my body.
Yeah.
Not nice.
Very glad that you got them out.
Yeah.
I know most guys would be like, why why destroy the, it's more important than just the looks. It's knowing that something like that is signed off on by medical professionals and the FDA and all these authorities that claim to be have dominion over your health. They signed off on that. So, that's pretty horrible. That's not looking good for their track record of
that's what I
mind.
kind of thought too. I was like, I can't believe doctors just put this in and don't question that they're making people sick. Like it's pretty absurd.
Yeah, literally, like you said, smells like nail salon chemicals. Like who wants that permanently installed in their body?
Yeah, not good.
So they should definitely show you them and let you really see what they're putting in.
Yeah, absolutely. And I also did mention on the intro to the last episode that I was going to touch on how this can happen with any implanted medical device, and then I totally forgot to. So I just wanted to name that this can happen in terms of like the breast implant illness symptoms. And this is why I did also say in the episode, like, don't get too hung up on the terms. Like they call it breast implant illness just to sort of give it a name so that in the medical world, they know what they're looking at. But essentially, it's just these things that are being put into your body are making you sick. And so it can actually happen with any implanted medical device. I actually did meet a woman who, when I was talking to her about my implants, said that she actually had very similar symptoms with a wire mesh that she had put into her abdomen after a hernia surgery. And I think she ended up having to get it taken out because it was making her really unwell. Yep. So essentially this can happen with anything, with screws, metal plates.
They've already done a class action lawsuit against the wire mesh things. My uncle had that surgery years ago, and he researched it, and he was kind of nervous about having it done because that's the only answer the only solution that doctors give you for something like that is like, well, we have to install this mesh, otherwise the hernia could reoccur. And
and sometimes it's just a case of, like, we spoke to Alex Zek about this, and he's got screws in one of his shoulders. And, you do things at a certain point in your life, like me getting my implants, that, fast forward a decade later or so, you're like, I wish I knew what I know now because I wouldn't have done it. And sometimes it's just a case of it's there, it's going to stay there. And in some cases, like in terms of like screws in shoulders and things, a lot of the time they can't be taken out, and that's okay. It's just knowing what you're dealing with and just knowing that it's essentially causing inflammation, and then you can then treat it accordingly. And there's lots of natural stuff that you can do that topically and internally to just support your body if you are experiencing those symptoms, if you've got any implanted medical device in your body.
Yeah, and we're not here making any medical recommendations. We're not really qualified to do so, but what I would do personally, this is just what I would do, is if I had, let's say, a knee surgery or something and I had titanium pins and stuff, just listening to your body, if you do have some of the symptoms that Alexa mentioned in the previous episode, look at things like flaxseed oil. You can take capsules of it. You can just drink the oil straight. That's a really powerful anti-inflammatory. Do the natural route as much as you can, and help mitigate some of that stuff and help bring down the inflammation naturally. Turmeric, you can do your research on natural anti-inflammatories. But yeah, just wanted to say that there are natural things to do to help with this. There's always an answer.
Yeah, definitely. So another thing that I kind of just glazed over, and then I realized afterwards, like, I guess people want to know what my health, the difference before and after. And I think I did say that there was a huge difference, but I didn't really go into how much my symptoms reduced. So when I went in for my consultation with my surgeon, she actually has you fill out a symptom checklist that gives you a symptom score. So my symptom score to begin with was only about 78, which is relatively low.
Out of 100 or 70 out of?
No, it's not. It's just there's like, no, not out of 100. It's just a score that's given. So she said that I was really it was really good that I caught mine early because a lot of her clients, by the time they come to her, their symptom scores are like 300 plus. So mine was at about 78. And then I did the symptom score again 2 weeks post-op, and it was next to nothing. And I'd had, I think, a 98% reduction in symptoms. So
and just look at this hair. Look at this beautiful hair.
Honestly, my hair is the healthiest and longest it's been, honestly, since I can remember.
Yeah.
It's been a really, really long time. My hair,
nice shine to it.
Yeah, and I mean, I have naturally thin hair, but it was just like lifeless, and lots of hair loss. But my skin improved, the fatigue stopped. Even coming out of surgery, my surgeon said my eyes, so the sclera, the white part of your eye, my eyes looked whiter. And I noticed that too. It was very subtle because I didn't have, that wasn't one of my symptoms, but some women that she sees, they actually have bloodshot eyes, like constantly. And even those patients of hers, like literally wake up out of surgery and their eyes are white again. So it's pretty incredible, how instantaneous some of the relief can be from some of the symptoms. And I did hear that a lot listening to other women's stories where they just literally woke up out of surgery and they felt amazing. And these are women that have often been sick for like 5 to 10 years in a lot of cases. So yeah, the joint pain went away. I've not had any gut issues since then. What else were some of my symptoms? My hormones feel like they're balancing out. That obviously does take some time for women. Like I had to still have a few like menstrual cycles for it to kind of come back into balance. And we are trying for a baby. So watch this space because I'll definitely keep people posted on that journey, because that'll be like the true test. Like if I fall pregnant pretty soon, that'll just be like, yeah, I feel like everything's kind of cleared up. But just in terms of my monthly cycle, that's gotten better. All that sort of apathy and depression, like I just feel like I've got much more, zest for life again, I would say. Like I've just
that's
naturally, yeah. And I think and you tell people, like, what have you experienced living with me, like before versus after?
Well, all the whinging and complaint, no, there were a lot of like noticeable like complaints where it was just like, you were like, why am I like so tired? Why am I, fill in the blank? And it was that list of symptoms. And that is, all of those things have noticeably gone down. And yeah, you're much more balanced. I mean, you weren't bad before, but I think you're much more happy now. And
I think I was pretty bad before. I felt like the way I felt, it literally felt like, yeah, it's like night and day. Like that's what I mean. So just go through the symptoms and be like, oh yeah, these are all gone. It's like, but how it feels is it just doesn't even compare. One of the other things that just completely went straight away was the headaches. Remember, I would just have constant headaches, and I've never been one to get headaches, and they just stopped. And now when I do get a headache, and I think I mentioned this in the episode, I've kind of just gone back to normal where if I do have a headache, it's very obvious what it's from. It's like I'm either dehydrated or I'm just tired. So yeah, the constant headache stopped. I even noticed too, so most of my rings that I wear, they're kind of a little bit big because I have bigger knuckles than the base of my finger. But they're all so loose now. It's really annoying. So because all that swelling's gone down, none of my rings actually fit anymore. So I've actually got to go and take a couple to get resized.
Yeah.
Because they're just constantly swinging around my finger, which is super annoying. But I'm also really glad that, again, that's a sign that all the swelling has gone down.
Yeah. Well, I couldn't get over well, I mean, I don't know what the kilos were and all that, but the way that you've said you've slimmed down and like you've been like weight's been dropping off you.
That's right.
Without really changing too much in diet and exercise so far.
Yeah. Well, I haven't really been like exercising at all, which New Year's resolution, guys, it's coming.
Yeah, got to get to it.
Without, again, we eat pretty well. So like without really changing much.
Well, just walking to your mailbox is enough.
That's an inside joke, guys. I lost about 3 kilos just, without really changing anything in the first, probably say 3 months. And then, I probably lost closer to 4 kilos now. And that's really honestly just from the swelling going down. And then,
which is about 8.5 pounds or almost 9 pounds.
Yeah, so that was another big one. And again, I wasn't having to try to lose weight. And
that's significant. Like, that's pretty good.
And I'm actually pretty pumped to like get into fitness again.
And actually, it's funny because we actually have, I mean, admittedly, we have been eating a bit like shit for the past few months. Like, not all the time, but, we've been eating more chips. We've had some sweeties every now and then.
Babe, you're not meant to tell everyone on the podcast.
But, I mean, when I say sweet, I mean, just fruit. Just the fruit of the trees.
No, it's fine. Look, we're human. And I often get like the sweets I get are from our organic farmers markets. Like they do beautiful pastries and stuff. So, we have been a little bit indulgent. But I wouldn't say like
but
the amount of but the amount of like organic fresh produce that we eat all organic meat. Like that's the majority of our diet. Like that's a majority of the food that we eat. And
the majority of everything is all like locally grown.
Yeah.
Everything's grass fed, organic, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. So
full fart milk. We're only here for full farts. They want to have farts over there in England. They can keep it.
So naturally lost weight. And I'm pretty keen to get back into fitness because I actually feel to like really listening to my body, like about 3 months post-op was when my surgeon said I could start working out again and like using weights. And because I had a muscle repair as part of my surgery, I really couldn't use those muscles for like not at all for 6 weeks. And then even up to the 3-month mark, she said, just really go easy. Like don't do weights, don't work out too much. But even at the 3-month point, I remember kind of feeling like I wasn't ready. I still was a little bit swollen and my scars were kind of more tense, I would say, if that makes sense. But since doing my scar treatment with my bone therapist, that's really helped. And just actually in the last few weeks, I've really noticed, and even you can see it looking at them, but they've become more relaxed. And they're kind of just sitting more naturally and they're not, I feel like all the swelling's gone now. And now I'm actually at a point where I feel confident enough to, get into more strenuous exercise where I'm like using weights and, potentially like jumping up and down and that sort of thing. Whereas before I was kind of like, oh, I'm still scared. So,
And you can imagine after, having the implant underneath the muscle and then now that's reattached to the rib cage basically. That's wild. That's like a big change in the way that you're going to feel when you actually start doing push-ups and whatever else. Definitely go slow coming back.
Absolutely. Listen to your body. 100% listen to you, because I'm like there's some women my surgeon showed us this woman who I think like 6 months post-op, she was like, she'd been at the gym. She was ripped.
She was doing Muay Thai.
And she was like, boxing. And I was like, you go, girlfriend. But like for me, I didn't feel like I was ready for that. So just listen to your body, I would say. And then one of the huge things is like my clothes fit so much better. Like, remember when I got back home and I was just like, I can't wait to try my clothes on. And I was still quite swollen, so they were bigger. But especially now that they've fully relaxed and they're by no means like small, what most people would call small. But for me, I'm like, they're so small now. Like I love them. Because actually when I did my consultation, sorry, just to backtrack a bit, when I went in initially to get my surgery and have my implants put in, I told the surgeon that I just wanted double D. I said, I don't want any bigger than a double D. That was always what I was at my biggest. And and that is what will feel comfortable for me. He was like, yep. He assured me. And then I'm sure they were bigger, but I just never really noticed, because I think too, especially immediately after, especially in the first couple of years, I was just always kind of like, oh, I love my boobs. And I wasn't really too concerned about the size. But then as time went on, they were definitely always bigger than a double D. And then it wasn't until my explant surgeon assessed me, and she said, you've actually got like a G to H cup. And I was like, wow. And I hadn't been fitted for a bra like probably since my teen years. So I didn't actually know. So now I would say I've probably, so from a G to a H, which is huge, especially I'm only short, like I'm like 5'2", roughly 5'2". That's huge. And in hindsight, to remember filling out my symptom checklist, and I actually was getting back pain and a lot more like neck and shoulder, it was just like felt more tense than it does now. And yeah, I would attribute that to all this extra weight. As well, actually, another thing I forgot too, in terms of the implants and the extra weight on the chest. So my implants were 300 cc's each, which is roughly, it's over 300 grams each. I don't know what that would be in pounds or whatever. So that's an extra 600 or over 600 grams, plus the capsule of scar tissue that surrounds it. So it would be close to an extra kilo that was sitting on my chest all the time. And then like my whole chest area got much bigger. So so that was definitely impacting my health. And then post-op, now where I am, it just feels so nice to be able to like fit into clothes. And I actually, when I bought this dress, I just bought this dress recently. It's a size 8, and the woman, when I tried to check, she goes, oh, you could probably go a size 6. And I was like, oh, thanks. But I was like, no, this fits me comfortably. But it's actually been so long that I could actually wear things that were my actual size, because my boobs were so much bigger. And then I've got more of an hourglass figure. So I always had a smaller waist, but then big hips. So I've hated clothes shopping for like the last 10 years at least, because it's been so hard to find things that actually fit me properly. So it's so nice now to just feel comfortable to like be able to wear anything.
Good. I'm glad you're feeling better in your body and your clothes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so last point before we show the image again, because we did talk a lot about the spiritual aspect of what I went through. So before my surgery, a lot of my friends and family and a lot of our very, what I would call our spirit family, our soul family, up around here where we live, they all sort of prayed and sent me lots of love before my surgery and on the day of my surgery. And I'm telling you, I felt it. Like, this was the first surgery I've ever gone into where I had no nerves going in. Like, I'm usually pretty good, but all my prior surgeries, the day of, I'd be really nervous, especially when you're admitted into the hospital and you're like waiting to go in and you're by yourself.
Yeah.
And I remember after I left you guys, like normally that's when I'd get really nervous and even upset. I might cry. I just felt really at peace and I felt very protected. And it's the only way I can explain it. I felt the love and the prayers that people were sending.
Yeah, I know. I was probably more nervous than you were and your mom. I remember we went down and we were just goofing around with our phones. I was taking selfies and showing your mom how to take selfies and stuff with Instagram filters and stuff.
Yeah.
But we were both pretty nervous. We said some prayers for you, and I know she was on the phone with some of her friends, and there's just a lot of love surrounding you that day, and we're very grateful for that because it's a big deal.
Yeah. And I'm so glad you guys had each other too, because I know my mum would have been a wreck if she was alone. Because she came with me for my first surgery in Thailand, and I had been like from pre-op to through the surgery and then post-op, the post-op suite, I was gone from her for about 12 hours in Thailand where none of the nurses speak English. She was freaking out and she was there alone. So thank God, my mum being my mum, she made friends, of course. And the lady she made friends with was actually there. She does cosmetic holidays. So she really assured her. She's like, no, that surgeon's amazing. She's in good hands. So I'm glad you guys had each other too through that process, because it was a, over 6 hour surgery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you want to show the image here?
Yeah, so we forgot to zoom in on the episode.
So fair warning, in a few seconds, we're going to show some gory image. So if you don't like it, look away.
Yeah, don't look now. So yeah, we didn't zoom in. You could still see the image on the original episode, but we just didn't zoom in. So this was the capsule that we saw the face in. So for anyone that can't, like for me and a lot of people that I showed this to, they kind of saw the face straight away.
So if you're looking at it at the top, we've got what looks like an eye, an eye here. The stapled area is kind of like the nose, and then it almost looks like that's a mouth there. And I said, I was looking at that and I was like, it actually looks similar to like an alien gray to me.
Yeah.
Just the way the eyes are shaped and the way, I don't know, you can maybe see what I'm talking about.
Yeah. And the second face to me to the left is kind of like a circle.
Yeah.
Why
did you even start seeing faces to begin with?
Well, at the time that I gave these photos, I was actually doing Rachel Vaughan's psychic development course. So in that course, she teaches people how to recognize the humanoid features in nature, so in the trees or in clouds, and how they're actually nature spirits communicating with us, which I fully believe. So I guess I was already in that state of mind. We were learning and I was going out and taking photos in nature and seeing this. So as soon as I looked at this, and mind you, I'd seen this photo prior to that. Yeah. And I really and of course, learning more about, demonic attachments, entity attachments, that kind of thing. I saw this and I was like, wow, just so obvious to me.
Yeah. And you sent this picture to Rachel. Do you remember what she said about this?
Yeah. So she actually said that there are demons that are associated with self-mutilation. And that is 100% what I would say was at play. Because at the end of the day, you're modifying your body. Like it is a form of self-mutilation. I know that sounds like a really harsh term, especially for people that may have implants and not agree with that notion. But for me, that definitely resonated because I do think that it's a form of self-mutilation. And
well, even if it's not self-mutilation, just any voice that tells you you're not good enough, that you need to alter the way that you appear in drastic ways. And breast implants are very, very normal now, but it's still a surgery where you're put under. It takes several hours. You have a team of experts. They're putting something in your body. That's not a little thing. As common as it is, it's a drastic change to your appearance. And if you're doing that because you don't feel like you look the way that you should, in my opinion, that's a place to look in the spiritual realm for healing, not anything on the external, physically.
Absolutely. And, we talk about this a little bit, I think maybe in our episode coming up where we talk about entity attachments and things. And, my understanding of it is that they need a foothold, right? So in my case, my this feeling of not feeling good enough, especially in my body and feeling that towards my body, that was their foothold. And that's what I feel was then hijacked, was this thought pattern of I'm not good enough. Well, that's the thing though. That was the core of it, was I'm not good enough, but they're not the things that I would tell myself. The things I would tell myself was I need to do this to look like this. I need to do this to feel better about myself. I was always externalizing that.
Yeah.
Obviously, because then I went and actually changed my physical body to help myself feel better about who I was.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely something to be aware of and to look at. So I'm not just showing gory, photos for the sake of it. I just think that it's very interesting that, I've had this happen, but it can show up in so many different ways. And to me, that was just confirmation that whatever this thing was that was attached to me, there's part of that feels like it's been expelled. like just from taking the implants out. And I've done some work, you know, in the spirit and some energy work to clear that stuff as well.
Yeah. I mean, you'll feel better for a while, but just settle what's going on at the core of that. If you're feeling inadequate anyway, and women aren't the only ones. Men definitely have that as well. There's a lot of men that are in the gyms lifting weights with that intention of, I need to be strong in order to feel this way, you know, in order to be this or whatever. And really get to know why you're feeling that way. Question what the intention is with that.
Yeah.
You know? And nothing against that. Like, I spend a lot of time in the gym. I'm all for people looking their best, feeling their best. And there is a measurable, real, tangible connection to being physically fit, being healthy, and feeling better about yourself. But I like to tell people that, because I believe in a creator God, and I believe that you are infinitely valuable just by being part of this creation, that you have this innate value and worth. And if you feel any separation from that, then moving inward to where you meet the creator is a great place to start remedying that.
Yeah, I definitely went the very long way around to get to that. So I don't recommend that to people. However, if that's your journey, it's your journey. For me,
there's no judgment for any woman that's gotten breast implants or anything like that. Obviously,
exactly. Because at the end of the day, it does come down to, in that world, it does come down to informed consent. And I would say that the vast majority of women that get implants or have gotten implants in the past have not been given proper informed consent because they're not told that this is a risk.
Yeah, that might even be probably the most pertinent thing, in my opinion, too, is my biggest concern is these doctors are not telling women what they're really in for. And in a way, I feel like that's deceptive. You know, I don't know if that would hold up in court, so maybe it doesn't matter, but it's just...
Well, it will be interesting to see how the next sort of few years pan out, because a lot of women are now explanting and they're very aware of what breast implant illness is. There are doctors now that are researching this. My surgeon is one of them. So it will be very interesting to see if there are any class actions brought to the courts over this, over the issue of informed consent. And if that does happen, I will definitely be going down that road, because with, you know, how much it costs you to, number one, get them, and then to, number two, explant them. You usually don't get a lot out of class action lawsuits, but to me, it would be worth it just to maybe try and recoup some of that, because it's not cheap.
Oh, on the this kind of connects with this and what we were talking about earlier, but one important thing that we didn't talk about too much, and you don't have to share too much you're not comfortable with, but we're talking about women not feeling comfortable in their body they're in, and so they, you know, get implants for whatever reason. What about going the other way after having the explant surgery and having the reconstruction and now having the scars and all of that? How do you feel in your body now with this load of this, you know, bundle of scars and like this different situation?
I feel it's how do I answer this? I still have ups and downs with it. Like, I still, for the most part, I'm so happy that I've got these things out of me. And I feel like, put it this way, imagine you're in a really toxic relationship and it hits a breaking point where you've got to remove yourself from that situation. If you're in a situation where you then come back together with that person, it's like you've got to rebuild, you know? You can't just come back and just be like, oh, we're back together now, it's all fine. And some people do that. But if you really have this deep, meaningful connection with them, it's very necessary to kind of rebuild. And that's the only way I can kind of explain it, is that it's like I have to rebuild on my relationship with my body.
Is there a bit of like rebuilding trust, or do you feel like there's some element of that where there's a part of you that's been, like damaged by this and resents it a little bit?
No, I think it's more, I feel like it's rebuilding love, like love for myself, true love, unconditional love. And I guess for me, the thing that I I wouldn't say struggle with, but that's still kind of present. And again, I have my ups and downs with it. But for me, what is most present is the regret.
Yeah.
The regret, like, of one, getting them in the first place. And then two, not that I regret my explant surgery, but this feeling of really just immense sadness that I had to essentially do this damage to my body again and have more extensive scarring, losing sensation, not being sure whether I'll be able to breastfeed or not, and that uncertainty around that. So like there's still healing that has to happen. But in saying that, I'm very grateful for this experience because I am so much more appreciative and have so much more reverence for my body, where I don't think I'll ever treat it that way again.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. That's so powerful. Yeah. We could all use a little bit more reverence for our bodies, and I hear a lot of, I think it's scriptural, but people, I hear it in the fitness world as well. My body's a temple, yada, yada. So that's what people say about not putting, junk food in their bodies and stuff like that. But there's some truth to it.
Yeah, it's funny actually that you mentioned that, because we were somewhere recently and someone said something like the heart being the temple. And it was really interesting because that's the first thing that came to mind, is that we often say like the body is a temple, which isn't untrue. However, a lot of the time it's used in the context of just purely the physical body, where the body is a temple. So, don't eat badly and work out and do all these things. But really, when you sort of embody that from the place of the heart being the temple, which I believe the heart kind of overrides everything, it reaches all, because it's what we feel into, and the body is something that we also feel into. And with the heart being the temple, I think that's when naturally the body is the temple too. You treat yourself as a temple. Like, I'm not sure if I'm explaining my thought process clearly here, because it's very deep.
Treat yourself.
Well, yeah, because it's quite deep and profound, and I only just had the thought for the first time the other night, so I can't quite articulate it. But yeah, I think
that's the point of, when you say doing the inner work, connecting with that deep inner sacred part of you. It's not just a physical thing, but then the physical thing is a follow-on effect of that.
Yeah. It's like absolutely.
If you actually believe in your heart, that you love yourself, that you value yourself. I think one of the things that happens after that is you naturally just take care of your external environment.
Yeah.
Your body better, your organization in your room, your external world will start to reflect what is going on internally.
Yeah, definitely. And that's a really good way to put it, because that's what I feel like. I feel like if I had treated my heart as the temple and just shown myself love, I never would have I never would have spoken badly to my body. I never would have hated my body. I never would have chosen to have this surgery done and alter my body. So I think that's where it does start. It really needs to start in the heart. And I think really all things come back to this unconditional love that we are made of, in the image of God. That's what we're made of. And we've been so pulled away from and conditioned out of. And I think that's one of the most important things across all facets of life, is coming back to this state of unconditional love for ourselves and others.
1,000,000%.
Yeah. What a beautiful way to
that's perfect.
End it.
Perfect ending. Well, and that's great for an end to this year as well.
Yeah.
And we've talked about this a little bit, but I know our beliefs are different on this. And in my heart, every time Christmas rolls around, I know it's not the actual date that, Jesus was supposedly born and all this stuff, but the message that's wrapped up in all of this is that unconditional love, that a creator God, and we'll lay aside all judgment of the narrative that the religions put out. But I believe that there is an unconditional love from our creator God, and that we were all made in his image, and that the Christmas story is that of God, imbuing a man with his divine spirit and experiencing life as a man, to show more fully that God's in this with us, that we're all in this together. And that message has been perverted over the years, and Christmas itself has been perverted, where they make it all about the materialistic stuff and what you buy for other people, and then treat yourself and what you buy for yourself. And what better way to end the year than going through what you've gone through, a painful decision, but you're doing it for, number one, for your own well-being and your health, and then for, preparing to be a mother and doing that for our future children. And that, I believe, that's the spirit of Christmas that really gets me, that sustains me throughout the year. And it's been wonderful experiencing this amazing year with you, and all of you, our listeners. Thank you so much for joining us. Is there anything else you want to say?
No, just wishing everyone a very Merry Christmas. Again, not from a religious standpoint, but just spending time with friends and family, taking time out, from work, and just really slowing down and being present. And and reflecting on the year that's been, because it's been a big one, I think, for everyone. So it's nice to just take a step back and kind of look at, some of the challenges, some of the, what have been the successes and the good times, and then preparing for the year to come, which I think is going to be super exciting.
Yeah. Always love it. All right. Well, thanks for listening or watching. You can support the show by sharing it, liking it, giving us a thumbs up whenever you see our clips. Send us your comments. Let us know of your stories. Wherever you're listening to us, reach out. We'd love to hear from you. And go to naturalartform.com if you have need of any of our products, or you just want to follow along and see how our business is developing as we're taking baby steps into the new year.
And join our mailing list, guys. If you head to our website, join our mailing list. We're going to have regular offerings. So whether it be sales, whether it be products, there's going to be a lot happening in 2025. So join our mailing list so that you don't miss out. And of course, if you do want to jump on and purchase anything, you'll get 10% off your first order using the code NaturalAF10.
All right. Beautiful. All right. Well, we'll see you on the next episode of
in the new year.